Okay, so we got a question right here. The following passage is taken from an article about the history of particle physics, mystery particle. By 1932, scientists knew of the existence of the subatomic particle, the electron, the proton, and the neutron. They were believed to be the fundamental particles. In 1936, scientists were using tracks of cosmic ray to identify a predicted particle known as meson. Instead, another particle was discovered, the muon. This was so surprising, the Nobel Prize winning physicist Isidore Rabi said, "Who ordered that?" Describe how the underlying particle fits into the standard model, right? So we basically have to describe the underlined uh, words, right? Like electron, proton, neutron, meson, and muon. Like how they fit into the standard model. So basically, I'm gonna write the points that we have to mention, and then I'm gonna write the complete answer for you guys, so that it might be clear what you have to write in the exam, like how what is the structure of the paragraph that you have to write in the exam to gain full marks, right? So let me write the points that you have to mention. You have to mention the first point, which is basically what is fundamental particle, right? Because they said electron, proton, and neutron, they were believed to be fundamental particles. So like you have to just basically start what is fundamental particle, right? What is fundamental particle, right? The second point that you need to mention is basically electrons and muons are basically fundamental particles, right? You have to mention that electrons slash muons are basically fundamental particles, right? And the third point you're gonna mention is basically they belong to basically leptons, right? Right, and then we have to write the fourth point, which is protons and neutrons. Protons slash neutrons are basically not fundamental particles, right? Because they are made up of like three quarks and are baryons. Like basically proton and neutron are basically made up of three quarks, right? And they are basically baryons made up. So now we have the next point, which is mesons is also not a fundamental particle. Is not are not a fundamental particle, right? And then you have to explain what is basically then why it's not fundamental particle, because it is basically made up of quark and antiquark, right? Made up of quark and antiquark, right? And then the next point is basically you have to mention their generation. It is up to you, because I already mentioned 6 points. I'm mentioning extra points so that you can write from any one of these 6 to 8 points, from any one of these 8 points, right? So the next point you can mention is proton or electron or neutron, right? Basically are from first generations, right? First generation. And basically muon is basically from second generation, right? So let me write the sentence for you. Okay, so I have written the sentence: fundamental particles are those which are present in every atom, Electrons and muons are both fundamental particles. They belong to the group called leptons. Protons and neutrons aren't fundamental particles. They are made up of three quarks and are baryons, right? Mesons is not also a fundamental particle as it is made up of quark and antiquarks. Proton is made up of two up quarks and one down quark, and neutron is made up of one up quark and two down quarks. Proton, neutron, and electrons are first generation, and muon are second generation. The first sentence I wrote, it is not necessary to write because it's not underlined, but it's a good starting point that you can write. But it's clearly up to you. You can write, you can start from here. Electrons and muons are both fundamental particles and stuff on, right? So yeah, this is the answer.